Okay, so we are going to talking about something called efficiency and surplus. So first, let's think about efficiency. So imagine that you have a pizza. So I like a little pizza. So efficiency is about making sure everyone gets the right amount of pizza without wasting any. So we want to know if we can share the pizza differently to make some people happier without making others sad. Now, in order to figure out, we need to measure how happy people are. So in economics, we are used first consumer surplus. Okay, so for example, this is like getting a good deal. So if you are willing to pay is $10 for t-shirts, but you find out $7 price. Okay, so you've got the $3. Okay, which is your consumer surplus. You are pretty happy, right? Consumer surplus is the difference between what you're willing to pay and what you actually pay. It means that willingness to pay minus the market price. So if you add this up for all the shoppers and all the things they buy, you may get the total consumer surplus. Okay, let's move on to producer surplus. Okay, in terms of producer surplus, for example, this is like making a profit. So if it costs the store $5 to make a t-shirt and they sell it for $7, their producer surplus would be $2. Okay, so producer surplus is similar with the consumer surplus. It is a difference between what they sell something for and what it cost them to make it. Okay, so price minus willingness to sell. Okay, that is a consumer surplus. So we add this up for all sellers and all their products, that we might get total producer surplus. Okay, so when we add up of the consumer surplus and producer surplus, we may get the total surplus. Okay, total surplus is consumer surplus plus producer surplus. Okay, this is like the measure of how much economic happiness there is in total. So understanding these ideas help us to figure out if an economy is working efficiently or if there might be a better way to do things. Now, let's look at the pictures that show all the stuff we've been talking about. Imagine this graph is about ice cream. Okay, that is ice cream graphs. The curvy line going down is the demand curve. It shows how much ice cream people want to buy at different prices. The line going up is the surplus. So it shows how much ice cream sellers want to sell at different prices. So where this line crosses is super important. This point tells us where buyers and sellers agree. So we call this equilibrium price. So in this equilibrium price, we might get market price, PC, and market quantity. Now, let's see the area above the price line but below the demand curve. That is consumer surplus. So it is all the people who got the ice cream for less than they were willing to pay. Okay, so where's the maximum willingness to pay? And this point. And where is the market price? Here. So as I mentioned that consumer surplus is your willingness to pay minus the market price, in here PC. So consumer surplus is as much as this area. Okay, so let's see the area below the price line but above the surplus curve. That is producer surplus. Here. Okay, that is the producer surplus. It is the profit ice cream sellers are making. Okay, so producer surplus is willing to sell, the minimum willingness to sell price in here and market price here. So producer surplus is as much as this amount. So willingness to sell minus, price minus willingness to sell. Okay, so that is your producer surplus. Okay, so when you add up these two things together, you might get the total surplus. Okay, total surplus is consumer surplus plus producer surplus. So in this area, it would be your total surplus. So this is why it is special, because it gives us the biggest total surplus possible. Because that's why economists get excited about it. It is the most efficient outcome. Okay, now let's play a what if game with our ice cream market. So what if, for some reasons, more ice cream is sold than at our special equilibrium point? Let's see what happens. First, the price of ice cream would go down. Here. Then sounds great for ice cream lovers, right? There's a consumer surplus would goes up. Okay, as much as here. Do you agree? But for ice cream sellers, it is not so great. There's a product surplus would be goes down as much as here. Do you agree? Okay, so impact. For some of the ice creams they sell, they might even lose money. Okay, here's the important bit. Even though some people are happier, overall we end up with less total surplus. It is like we lost some of our economic happiness. This shows us why that equilibrium point is so special. So moving away from it, even if it makes some people happier, actually make the whole economy a bit less efficient. Now, let's talk about something called monopoly. Okay, that's when there's only one seller in the market. Imagine if there were only one ice cream shop in the Lawrence. Okay, so in a monopoly, something interesting happens. Single sellers does not produce as much as the sellers in the competitive market would. They charge a higher price too. To look at these graphs, the monopoly produce less, okay, compared to QC. They just choose the QM, okay, because margin revenue curve below the firm demand curve, right? And they charge more, as much as PM. Okay, so this creates what we called dead values. This is the dead values of the monopoly. So it is like the missing piece of our economic happiness. That there are people willing to buy ice cream and sellers who could make it profitably, but this trade does not happen because of a monopoly's decisions. The area on the graphs shows us how consumer surplus shrinks and how the monopoly's profit changes. Okay, here. So, but the key things is that total surplus, our total economic happiness is smaller than it could be because of dead values. Okay, so you might wonder if there's all this extra potential happiness, why does not monopoly just make more ice cream? Well, here's the tricky part. For a monopoly to sell more, they usually have to lower their price on everything they sell. They cannot just lower the price for new consumers. The monopolist creates a surplus. The sum goes to consumers, or some becomes the profit per monopolist. But here's an important bit. The monopoly only cares about its own profit. Okay? It does not consider the extra happiness consumers might get if prices were lower and more ice creams were available. This is why monopolists often produce less than what would be best for everyone. The main problem is that the monopoly is too big compared to the market. So it has too much power to set the price. Okay? So primary problem of monopolists is largely relatively the market. And then they set the higher price, they produce less. Okay. Let's try a different example to understand this better. So imagine someone has two very special toys to sell. Okay, and we have the potential buyers, which are 50,000 kids who might want to buy them. So 200 kids would pay $50,000 for toy. 40,000 kids would like to pay $30,000. The last 9,800 kids would pay $10,000. What do you think will happen? The seller will probably sell both toy for $50,000 each to the first two kids who are willing to pay that much. In this case, even though it is a monopoly, there is no dead will lose. Why? Because the seller is small compared to the market. So they can sell everything at the highest price without having to lower price to sell more. Because this shows us that sometimes, even with only one seller, we can still have an efficient outcome if the market is big enough compared to the what being sold. Now, let's change our toy example a bit. What if the seller has the 200 toys instead of just two? And the kids willing to pay changes. Okay, so 100 kids would like to pay $50,000. 40,000 kids would like to pay $50,000. The last 9,900 kids would like to pay $10,000. This situation is trickier. No matter what the seller does, we answer with a loss of efficiency and a dead will lose. Why? If they sell at the $50,000, okay, they only sell 100 toys, leaving 100 unsold. Okay. So if they lower the price to sell more, they miss out the high prices that first 100 kids were willing to pay. Now this shows us that when the monopoly has the loss of sale compared to the market size, it is hard to avoid inefficiency. The monopoly's decisions will always leave some potential economic happiness on the table, the creating that dead will lose we talked about.